Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Monday night live stream. I hope everybody's well, and I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. Again, as every week now, we've had a load of chat already there this evening. Just got my cup of tea here as well, though, so apologise for having a quick drink of that. Let's have a quick look, see who we've got in the chat this evening. So, we've got Rin, who was in nice and early. He said he was here 6 hours ago, and that message was at sort of 20 past 7 or something this evening. So good evening, Rin. I don't know if you're still around in the chat, or maybe you'll pop back. But thank you very much for popping in earlier on. Always helps when somebody comes in. It makes sure I have my chats working for down the side here as well. He's got a few thoughts about Kickstarter. We'll get onto that in a second. So for those just tuning in and maybe haven't seen the title, tonight's title, maybe it's a bit controversial, or maybe it's a bit kind of intended to get some chat going, but it's about Kickstarter, and is it a blessing or is it a curse? I'm sure people will have lots to say about it. I think people have different opinions about it, whether they think it's a good thing or a bad thing, so that should get the chat nice and warm tonight. So, thank you very much, Rain. We've also got Stuart Noble in as well. Good evening, Stuart. He said he hoped everyone has had a better Monday than him. I hope everything's alright, buddy. I know you're saying that you work with some proper shit humans. I'm assuming you've had a pretty bad day, mate. So, hope this evening's getting better for you anyway. We've also got John Whitesnake in. Says he's here a bit early. That was about 8:30. Thanks for coming in, John. I know you're on a completely different time zone, so really appreciate you coming in, even if you are half an hour early as well. We've got Broken Legion of Gamers in as well. Good evening, Nick. I see you're saying you got your Kings of War Vanguard Kickstarter today as well. I guess you've got a good experience about Kickstarter then, so congrats on getting it there. I suppose you've not waited too long, have you, to get it out to the US? That's come pretty quick, really. When you only started shipping out, sort of back end of last week, maybe week before, so that's not took too long. We've also got Jack in as well from Shaggy Wargaming. Good evening, Jack. Hope you're well, mate. I've just seen a bit further down that you're off to Mantic HQ at the weekend for the Vanguard launch day, I suppose it is, isn't it? So that should be fun, mate. I know you get one of the Frost Giants, don't you, as part of your entry price as well, so I'm a little bit jealous about that. Congrats, buddy. John is just saying, come on, Arsenal there. I'm at least showing my colours, mate. So, come on, Arsenal, and come on, Rams. 7-0. Not doing too bad so far. We've got Glenn Griffin in as well, as saying, hello, everyone. Good evening, Glenn. Hope you're well too, my friend. Nick is saying he's going to put his 2 cents on the topic. He both loves and hates Kickstarter. Love what I get from it. Hate what it does to my wallet. That's a really good point, actually. We'll definitely come on to the spending on Kickstarter at some point as well. We've got Neil Anderson in. Good evening, Neil. Not seen you for a little while, mate. You've been a bit quiet. Hope everything's okay. Thank you very much for coming in this evening. We've got John is asking if it's Earl Grey. Actually, mate, no. It's actually peppermint tea today. I've had quite a long day today. I was up early this morning. I've been to Manchester this morning. I've had a full day in Manchester, and then I drove back again tonight. So I've done about 330 miles in the car today. So I've been kind of surviving on caffeine. I thought I'd have a tea tonight as well, just to kind of try and wind down before bed. So if I'm a little bit kind of a bit hyped, it's all the caffeine I've had today, I think. We've got Kieran in there as well. It says, evening, folks. Good evening, Kieran. Hope you're well, mate. Just very, very briefly read your very lengthy post on Facebook. You're right, I probably am onto a hiding to nothing, but it's certainly a subject that'll get people talking. So, thanks for coming in, buddy. Jack is saying to Broken Legion of Gamers there, lucky to get tickets. He missed the Kickstarter, so that makes up for it. You're in for a treat, buddy. Honestly, you'll have a really good day down there. I'm not sure, Jack, if you've been to Mantic before, to Mantic HQ. Let me know down in the chat if you've been before and what you went for, or if this is your first time. We've got Andy in as well from Peninsula Painting Project. Says, hey, yo. Evening, buddy. We've got Ian Scammons in as well. Says, greetings from a wet and windy Cumbria. Have you got that on copy and paste from last week, mate? It's absolutely blown a gale here as well. It's a good job. I've messed around a little bit during the week with the like the noise gates on the microphone. Otherwise, every time the boiler kicks in, you would hear it kind of in the background, and it is blowing a gale outside. Luckily, the microphone's not picking up that kind of low-level noise or anything, so at least I hope it's not. You'll soon tell me if you hear it. But good evening, Ian. We've got Robbie G in as well. Says, evening all. Evening, Robbie. Robbie, it was you that commented, wasn't it, on the YouTube video about what size magnets I haven't had a chance to do it yet, mate, with me being away. I'll do it tomorrow for you, buddy. We've got Phil Wilkinson in as well. Says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Phil. Hope you're well too, mate. Rain says, finally it's on. It's like you've been waiting all day for it. We've got Skull Munchin. Says, good evening, fella. Hello, Sean. Hope you're well too, buddy. Neil says, I got excited for... Says Bellboy there. I think he means Hellboy. And jumped in. Don't know what's going on with it now. And not bothered with it now. Interesting, mate. We'll get on to that one then, eh? We've got Matt in as well. Matt Mountain says, hey there, Blackjackers. How's it going? Hashtag Mantic Monday. I'm sure Mantic will crop up in the conversation about Kickstarter. Saw some more of your stuff you've been painting it. I couldn't believe when you said in that that Facebook post that you do 4 hours. Did you say 4 hours a night without fail? That is proper commitment that made. 4 hours a night. We've got Panzer in as well. Hello there, Pete. How are you doing? You've been a bit quiet as well, mate, but I know you've been painting previously as well in the background. Loads and more Gangs of Rome stuff. Looking fantastic, mate. Thanks for joining us tonight. We've got Top Table Gaming in. Says, hello, sweet cheeks. Finished my stream to watch this. Hello, Steve. I did get quite a nice message from Steve today asking, we'd been chatting about some kind of software for cameras. And there was some reply he got. I was reading it when I'd stopped at a service station on my way back from Manchester, and I had a proper little chuckle at myself, and this woman in the shop looked at me as if to say, what the hell is he laughing at? So yeah, she looked at me a bit funny. How did the stream go, mate? I was kind of... I put the little one to bed. I've been sitting having dinner with the missus. I didn't get a chance to watch the stream, but I will watch it back later. I hope it went well, mate. We've got Tim in as well. Good evening, Tim Kelly. How are you doing, mate? He says, all right there, Andy and all. Rain says, sorry, got to go to sleep. Have to wake up in 5 hours. We'll watch this tomorrow in a train. Please be careful. When he says he's watching this in a train, I think he's actually the driver. So please, let's not hear about it on the news about some huge crash where you were watching the screen. But thanks for coming in, buddy, and thanks for your points. I'll get back to those ones as well in a bit. We've got Michael in, says, yeah, almost forgot. Almost forgot? It's not like I don't do this every week, Michael. How did you forget? Good evening, Michael. Hope you're well, mate. We've got Thomas in, says, hello all, first time in the chat. Hello, Thomas. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. I hope you're well, buddy. Tim says, 330 miles in a day. You've got to get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Honestly, I feel like that's all I do at the minute is just drive up and down the motorway down to Manchester. I think I've mentioned before, me and my wife both work away. So my wife's away first thing in the morning. So I had to get back today. So she can go away in the morning. Then she gets back Wednesday night. And I go away again Thursday morning. So yeah, plenty of mileage this week, mate. Good job I got 4 new tyres on the car at the weekend. They were in a right state there. I took them to the garage to get them done. I said, I think I've got a slow puncture on the front, and the front one might need changing. And he said, nah, they all need changing. Like the back ones had like no tread on them at all. So I've been looking to get away with it, if I'm honest. So yeah, they all had to get changed on there on Friday. It was. John is saying the worst part about Kickstarter is the wait. Yes, you're not wrong with that one. And that and getting ripped off. I'm never going to get the Evil Dead board game. I tell you what, buddy, I was just talking about this with somebody a couple of weekends ago. I read it on a news blog somewhere about the Evil Dead game. I'm sure we'll get onto that at some point as well. Michael is saying he went to Mantic to get introduced to the selling method of Mantic. I work for them in the Netherlands. So did you? Was this recently, Michael? You've been a few times in the past, though, haven't you, mate? Ian says it's always windy in Cumbria. Yeah, Manchester's pretty much the same as well, mate. When I spend a bit of time there, although it was quite sunny there today, it was a bit breezy driving back home again. Jack is saying it's his first time at Mantic HQ. Hope they're gentle. They'll at least smile, mate, before they before they give you a beating in the game, I should say. Michael is saying to Shaggy, those guys are the best. You won't regret it. Yeah, you're in for a bit of a treat, mate. I know what the plans are for this weekend. I'm just sorry I couldn't make it myself. With being away for the Kings of War tournament a couple of weeks ago and the Mantic Open Day in a few more weeks' time, it was just one weekend. I couldn't kind of leave my wife with a little one again on another weekend. We've got DM13 in. Howdy, boys. Evening, buddy. How are you? Michael is saying the reason I almost forgot, my wife is doing a bit weird here. She has a headphone on at the minute. She has a deaf ear and is screaming the most terrible songs. She can't sing and it erases your mind. What's she singing, mate? We can all join in. We can all sing along. Nick saying he got screwed by the Evil Dead 2, but there's hope on the horizon. Thanks to, is it Linvander? I didn't. The last I heard wasn't good news, so maybe there's been some more since then. And Michael says, no, just went once, but we'll go again with the Pathfinders. So then, folks, how are we doing? Let's have a look and see how. Have we got a nice little group in? Oh, we've got 30 people in already. That's quite nice for the first 10 minutes, isn't it? Let's start as we mean to go on. So, before I start, we've got Anthony as well from Revenant Tabletop Gaming. Says, hey guys, hello Anth. Hope you're well too, my friend. How are you? What have you been up to? I should say. I couldn't get my words out there. So, few little bits of kind of notices for this evening. So for those of you that are in the Facebook group, you'll already know about this. But for those of you who are not in our Facebook group, first of all, why not? If you check out the link below any of my videos, you'll see a link to a Facebook community group. And it's where a lot of the folks here from the Monday night chats all get together, talk about different games, show what they're painting, bits of updates. Some of the guys show their blogs, some of the guys show their YouTube channels. It's all good as long as it's kind of about gaming and you contribute to the community. But we are having a BlackJack painting challenge, and it's going to start on the 1st of November, and there's going to be 2 ways you can enter. So, if you're wanting a bit of motivation to paint up a new army, what you need to do is you need to paint 1 unit a month. And I've left it relatively vague at 1 unit because I don't know what army you're painting. I don't care what game it's for. I don't care if it's a board game. I don't care if it's a miniatures game. Whatever it is, this is just to give you a bit of a kickstart to get the brushes out and get painting. Okay? So 1 unit a month. So that can be, it can be 5 guys for Kings of War Vanguard. It can be a 10-man Marine sort of, what they're called, troop, is it? Can't even think of the word now. Your little unit anyway, your 10-man unit for 40k. It can be a 10-man unit for, say, Age of Sigmar, something like that. It can be 5 troops for bolt action. I don't really mind what the number is. The idea is you get painting. I don't care whether they're built. I don't care whether they're primed. I just want to see at the start of the month, show me a picture before you've started painting them, and at some point in the month when you finish them, show me a picture of them painted. And then next month you can do the same and build up your army. So that's one way you can enter. The other way you can enter is we're going to have a challenge every month. So for those of you that are not looking to build a big army up, you just want to get a paintbrush out for the first time, do a little bit of practice painting, you might want to paint up some board gaming pieces, something like that. The challenge will be, every month will be along the lines of maybe paint a model with a winter themed base, or paint a model with a red theme, or paint a model only using 3 colours. Something like that. Something just a little bit different to give you a bit of a challenge. So there'll be one of those every month. Then what you can do is every month you complete the challenge, you'll get 1 entry into the challenge pot. And what we'll do is over a period of, I'm not sure how long it'll last at the minute, probably 3 or 4 months, something like that. Maybe a bit longer if it goes well. At the end of that, everybody's entry goes into a draw. So the more challenges you complete, the more entries you'll have in the pot. And we'll have some nice prizes come out the other side of it. I don't know what the prizes are going to be, but I'll try my best to get something really nice for you all. So that's the idea, just to get painting, to just to get a brush out, give you something to kind of plan against, give you something to motivate you, give you something to really kind of go for. And what I've also done, and I should have prepped this beforehand, and I didn't. So let me just, I might be able to do it this way, it might be quicker. Let me just check here. What I've also done is I've created a special BlackJack painting challenge t-shirt and hoodie. So if you were interested, let's just let me get it on the other screen for you, and I'll show you where we are. If I can find the link, which is really hard with my old eyes. Right, let's go across to here. So Of course, it's taken forever to load up now, so you've got a nice white screen. There we go. So you can head across to Teespring if you search for BlackJack Legacy, or if you go to the Facebook group, you'll see a link for it. And what we've got is we've got these ones here. So let's click on this one so you can see it a bit more close up. There it is. There we go. The painted minis hit harder and faster. Hashtag BlackJack Painting Challenge. We've got those ones in black. We've also got them in blue. And you can also have a hoodie in black or in blue also. And what we also have for those that are wanting something a bit of a lighter colour, we've got them in white and grey as well. So there's the white ones and there's the grey ones. And again, we've got hoodies and we've got grey hoodies there as well. So what I'm also going to do is any profit that I make from selling of those t-shirts and hoodies, any profit from that will go to charity at the end of the challenge. And what we'll do is we'll get 2 or 3 suggestions for charities, and then everybody that's entered the challenge, whether that be just 1 month or every month, you can all get a vote on which charity we give the profits to. So just a little bit of something to kind of give back. I've had a couple of people, I know Nick messaged me and kind of gave me a little bit of an idea about one particular charity, which I'd be quite keen to put that in the list as well. So yeah, so we've got a few things. One is a challenge to get you painting. I don't care whether it's 1 model a month or it's 1 unit a month. And there's also a little bit of merchandise to celebrate the challenge, and any profits will go to a fantastic charity. So that's a bit of news at the start. I had a brief chat with Kieran a couple of days ago as well about potentially doing something with this alongside the Vanguard launch as well. So if any of the guys that are just getting into Vanguard, if you're in the Vanguard group on Facebook and you're wanting a bit of motivation to paint your miniatures, you can join in as part of this as well, and you'll get entered into the challenge. So you might not want to be kind of part of my Facebook group for whatever reason, but if you want to motivate yourself, give yourself a little bit of a target to paint up your Vanguard miniatures, I'm looking to see how I'll kind of incorporate that, so stay tuned for that. Right, let's have a look at the chat, because the chat is going super quick tonight. So we've got Nick is saying that Lyvander and Jasco bought the rights to produce the game and are going to honour pledges in a Heartthrob campaign. I hadn't heard that bit. I know I think it was Lyvander had bought some of the stock from the warehouse that had been seized, which if I remember right, basically I think they'd produced all of the stretch goals and hadn't produced the games yet, which I thought was weird. Michael is saying, Andy, for the Mantic Giant, if you use the arm with the tree, pin it, it's too heavy for a magnet. Yeah, I don't think I was going to magnetize the arms, mate. I think I was just going to stick the arms on, but I was definitely going to magnetize the head. John is saying, the painting challenge, I've never lost so fast at anything. You can do it, mate. You can do it. We've got Jean in there. Horrid Person says, hi all. Good evening, Jean. Michael is saying, I'll join it. You have a chance then, John. It's not really a competition. It's nothing to do with the quality of your painting. I don't care if you've painted a golden demon with an army. I don't care whether you've never picked up a paintbrush in your life. This is purely to try and give people who maybe just need a bit of encouragement or need a reason to paint. I know myself, if I'm going to a tournament, that kind of focus of a deadline kind of gives me a bit of motivation. Matt was mentioning tonight, he kind of gives himself a focus of like a sort of a period of time, be it 4 hours a night or an hour a night or whatever it is. Those little things all help to push you on and give you something to focus on. That's the point of the challenge. Don't care how well you paint them. Don't care how many colours you use. Don't care if it's your best work or your worst work. It's just about getting into a routine of starting to paint over a period of time, and you'll smash through those models. John is laughing at Michael there. Glenn says, have a think about what I'll be painting up for the painting challenge. Yeah, I forgot to mention that as well. So we've got this hashtag, get my words out, hashtag BlackJack Painting Challenge. If you're going to put any pictures up on Facebook, if you're going to put it up on Instagram or on Twitter, either tag me in them, use the hashtag, and that way we can kind of share it around the community as well. So he's leaning towards a Blood Bowl team at the minute, but not certain, Andy. It'd be good to see whatever you paint, mate. I honestly don't mind at all what it is. Doesn't matter what game it is. Doesn't matter where the miniatures are from. Just get painting. That's all it's about. Panzer's just remind me to call it a squad. Yeah, it's a 10-man squad or a 5-man squad. I had troop in my head and I don't know why that is. We've got Sammy in as well. Good evening, Sam. Aren't you on holiday, buddy? I'm sure you're in a different time zone as well. John says, I do have a whole Rum and Bones army that need painted. There you go, mate. Perfect one. Just do one for the first month's challenge. So November the 1st, get that model out. Get one of them painted. Doesn't matter. Just get one painted. That's the start. It'll snowball from there. Michael is saying, what a 10-man troop. The best game in the world hasn't got Marines. Kings of War. I couldn't think of the word. I couldn't think of the word squad. Neil says, I could repaint my chess set. I'm sure you must have some Marines or something to paint for Kill Team, mate. You must have some bits and pieces. Michael says, I expect more of you, Andy. Let the side down, I've done, mate. I've let the side down. Anthony saying, it sounds like a great idea, mate. Nice one. Yeah, it's a good excuse to get some of your Walking Dead stuff painted up, mate. We've got Nick in there. Edic Beer 40k says, yo. Nice to see you too, Nick. Hope you're well, buddy. Michael is saying, hello to Nick. Sam saying, evening, Nick. Michael says, YouTube celeb alert. We've got Andrew Pearson says, hello, Andy and others. Good evening, Andrew. Hope you're well, mate. Nick is saying, a very posh setup, Andy. It's getting there, isn't it? I think I mentioned it in the last live stream. If you could see what I can see, with a fridge and the tool chest over there and blooming, what we got, washing machine and tumble dryer and all that kind of stuff, heating boiler in the corner, it wouldn't look quite so good the other way around. But this bit, it's my little bit of the world over here. Rain is saying, by the way, check the projects that have made the most money from Kickstarter. Board and tabletop gaming kicks ass on that list. It does, doesn't it? It's surprising, actually. That's something we'll get onto once I catch up on the chat here, and then we'll get into the subject, because that's a really interesting point, actually. Where are we going? God, that just jumped around. I'm sure I saw something from Sam there. He said I had to sit through a weekend of bloody IKEA for that setup. He did. Sam and his brother Adam came with me to IKEA to buy these units and these curtains. Sammy, wait till you come back, mate, from holiday. You'll be able to see how fantastic it is now. And we need to get our first game done on this table as well. Let's have a look. Kablams is in as well. Good evening, Kablams. Hope you're well, Craig, mate. Nice to see you in here. John saying, the hoodie needs a zipper down the middle. Not that will stop me buying one. I don't think they have them with zippers down, mate. I've had a look. The only hoodies they do are called like college hoodies, which are not like this one. They're just like sort of cords around and pullover ones. So sorry, mate, I don't think they actually do them. So otherwise, I would give it as an option, because it doesn't cost me anything to kind of just time to create the designs, basically, and it doesn't cost me anything. If they sell, they sell. If they don't sell, they don't sell, kind of thing. Phil is saying, I like the white and grey hoodies. Yeah, I just thought it was something a little bit different. And again, there's other colours available if people are kind of wanting more colours, because again, it doesn't cost me anything to kind of create them or anything. I just thought the white and grey were a bit of a change from most of the other stuff I've done. It's kind of been black and blue. So I thought I'd do some lighter colours for those that wanted to change. Sean there saying t-shirts available in Skull White, Abaddon Black, Cantor Blue, and Hawthorne Grey. I'm not sure it's Cantor Blue. It's probably a bit more. It's probably a bit more McCrag Blue, I think it is. Thomas C says, look forward to the BlackJack Painting Challenge. Been a lurker for a while now, but want to get involved in this great community, and it'll help clear my backlog. Nice one, buddy. It's good to see you getting involved as well. Everybody's really friendly. We haven't got any kind of numpties. We've got Michael. We'll forgive him. He can sometimes, he gets a bit loud sometimes, but he's a good lad. But yeah, it's part of a great community. I'm really kind of lucky that this kind of bit of community thing that's grown up around this channel and around the Facebook page are full of really, really nice people. So welcome, mate, and never fear about sharing your painting. No matter what standard you're at, it's just to motivate you and get you started, mate. Get through that backlog. Nick says no Necron silver t-shirts. I might be able to do you a green one, mate. I don't think they do silver t-shirts, but I might be able to get you a green one. Michael says that's because they disintegrate the fastest. Neil says you can never clear the backlog. I saw a meme thing today, or a little thing. Oh, it might have been Mantic posted it, about finding the scroll with the meaning of life, and on the scroll was you'll never paint all your miniatures. And it was like, rah. Thought that was quite funny. Kieran saying thumbs up there multiple times regarding the Vanguard BlackJack Challenge tie-in. Yeah, we had a little chat, mate. I just need to kind of fully understand how we tie it in, because I don't want to take away from Mantic too much, because obviously it's their big launch. But yeah, anybody that wants to get painting, get painting. That's all. That's what it's about. Sam is saying, don't think I'll look a bit suspicious if I win. You won't win, mate. Don't worry about that. Thomas is saying, Neil, no, but I'm only just getting back into the hobby. So it's embarrassingly big for my time back. Yeah, if you haven't got a big backlog, mate, you're doing it wrong. That's how it works. Pete's saying he'll join in as well, as it's a great idea. Not sure about an army, but you've got a ton of blood and plunder from his Kickstarter to do. Yeah, that's the point, mate. Just, it doesn't matter how many you paint, really. I'm just trying to, like, there's a few people asked us, what do I class as a unit? Does it have to be on the sprue? That kind of stuff. Honestly, I don't care what condition it's in, as long as you're going to paint it. And I don't really mind how many miniatures you're painting. You can paint 1, you can paint 10. It's just about getting painting. That's all it's about. What else have we got here? Right. Sorry, there was a little announcement come up at the bottom of my screen there saying Twitch is currently investigating site-wide loading issues. We're not on Twitch, so I'm assuming this is working okay. Let's just flick back there, make sure that's working. Where were we up to? Phil's just laughing at Sam. Sam says he's on holiday, but just sitting by the pool at the minute, about to go eat, so it's all good. It's all right for some, isn't it? I'm here at home. It's dark, it's miserable, it's wet. You're sitting in the Florida sunshine, feet by the pool. Feet up. It's all right for some sunshine, isn't it? John says I'm going to paint my dog's toenails. Have you asked them yet? I need to see written permission made before you allow that. You know, I don't want you to be forcing it upon him. Neil is saying to Thomas, "You're with friends." You certainly are, buddy. And Thomas is saying, "I'm Thomas and I'm a plasticaholic." Yeah, that's the first rule to getting better, mate, is admitting to it, isn't it? Jack is saying nothing like a paint chance to get you focused. So Andy, will you be finishing your ogres, or are you starting a dwarf army? Ooh, good one. I'm really tempted to start a dwarf army. I've got all my Vanguard stuff to be painting up, so that'll be happening anyway. I want to get that painted up for when Sammy gets back off holidays, so we can do some more Vanguard battle reports. But yeah, I don't think I've mentioned this. I might have mentioned it in Facebook group. But there's a tournament, a Kings of War tournament in February next year that I'm kind of setting myself a bit of a target of trying to get an army together for it. So yeah, fingers crossed. That's the plan. But dwarfs, I've seen some really nice dwarf armies when I was at the Kings of War tournament. So there's a guy called Rusty Shackleford, had the yellow dwarf army that you'll have seen. Dan Reed as well, who's in our Facebook group. He had a fantastic dwarf army as well. Seeing them two really did kind of inspire me to maybe do a dwarf army. And especially as I was very kindly sent as well some dwarf sprues as well from Tony. Forgot his name now. Yeah, from Tony. Let's see what else we got. Kablams is saying he is well. Cheers, Andy. Not a problem, mate. Thomas is saying thanks and well done to you. I've not done anything, mate. I just come here and ramble, and it seems to kind of attract people to talk to each other. So that's all right. Sam said, meme thing, Jesus Christ, trying to kill me here or what? Sam, I'm a 43-year-old man almost. I'm not down with the kids, am I? Just because I've got a hoodie on doesn't make me streetwise. Peter's saying, Andy, can I shout about a Facebook page about marking the end of the Great War 100 years ago? It says to remember and show our respect for the fallen and those who survived. I was thinking, along with Dickie Boyd, that we modeler, painters, hobbyists should paint up something to mark the armistice. Yes, please do. I'm not sure if you've shared. You're saying there to search Facebook for the Great Fallen, remembering the armistice. Let's see if we can find it here. The Great Fallen. You have to excuse me because my monitors are quite far away from me. I've got a couple of my monitors here on like 150% increased size, so I can read it from a distance. Okay, so let's. Oh, that's not good. It said something went wrong. Let's try again. There we go. I think it's working this time. Right, let's flick across when it loads up. So, folks, yeah, so as Pete's just mentioned in the chat here, if you're on Facebook, head across the Great Fallen, remembering the armistice. Let's click OK for that. Thank you, Pete, for that invite. And by all means, if you guys are wanting to enter the BlackJack painting challenge, you can always paint something up that fits in with this theme as well. I did see this picture, Pete, as well. I really like this this little kind of diorama thing you've got going on here. So yeah, head across there, folks, and show some love. A very worthy cause there, mate. Right, well, so we at the chat. We've got Skullmuncher saying embarrassing dad. Of course, that's my job, to be an embarrassing dad. You do know you only ever have children so that you can embarrass them like your parents used to embarrass you. That's the only reason you become a parent. Sam says, good idea, mate. Plastic soldiers for real soldiers. Couldn't have put it better myself, Sammy. Well said. Pete says he's painting some stuff for Gangs of Rome for a campaign tournament this Saturday in Derby. We've got Stephen as well. Says, hello all. Just nipped in as he's off this week. I remember you saying, mate, yeah, you got some time off, haven't you? And Sam saying, evening, Steve. So, I think what we'll do is we'll now kick off with the Kickstarter bit, because I've kind of gone on a bit longer than I planned to, actually. So, Kickstarter, blessing or curse? I think my personal opinion is that I think Kickstarter is a good thing. I think it's changed dramatically from what it was originally created to be. So Kickstarter, and I think this is how most people still think of Kickstarter, is it was designed to get new companies off the ground with an idea that they had. They didn't have any money to fund it, and the idea was you would sort of share your idea, and if enough people thought it was a good idea and would pledge money to it, you'd be able to get that idea off the ground. And it was a great way a few years ago how a lot of board game companies got started, how a lot of miniature companies kind of got their first mold made and went on from there. These days, Kickstarter is a very, very different place. So now, in order to have a successful Kickstarter these days, you need to put a lot of work in up front. You need some really good marketing materials. You need to have already kind of got some renders made, maybe even get some models 3D printed. You've pretty much got to have your rules nailed down. You've got to have some videos. You've got to have some reviews. You've got to send out some sort of preview copies. You need to get a bit of buzz about it. And in reality, you need to have 90% of the work done before you even launch your campaign. It's a very, very different kind of mentality these days. And it's driven by people like us who expect, we expect more. We expect polished games. We expect a lot of work to have gone into it. We want to see more about what... We're not really back in the unknown anymore now. It's more of a kind of a pre-order type thing, really, enabling relatively kind of smaller companies, and we'll get onto what I mean by small companies, enabling them to fund the kind of mass production. That's what it's about these days, and I think it works really well. So obviously companies like Mantic have cropped up in the Facebook chat. Mantic are not a huge company, and when they're making plastic molds and getting sort of all of those things done, it's really, really expensive to do that. But what they do is they do a lot of the groundwork beforehand, so they get the rules, they get the renders and everything else. I mean, to be honest, I think of things like Hellboy. They had like the Studio Heraldus paint jobs, so people could see the miniatures, they could see what they were going to get beforehand. But it's a way to fund those very expensive mold making and sort of mass-produced sort of parts of the project, because that's not cheap. No matter sort of how big you think a company's become, there's not that many kind of companies can really invest in that mass production with plastic molds. So that's why I think it's changed a lot, and I think people expect more these days. They don't expect to back something that won't fund these days. They don't expect to kind of back a risk. And I think if companies do mess up on a Kickstarter, it can really, really damage their reputation. Where in the past, I think people really did see it as I'm trying to fund this up-and-coming brand new company. Things have really changed now. So companies like Games Workshop, you know, this is why they release these kind of box sets, because it's a way of driving mass sales through a lot of sculpts, a lot of new plastics. So that's why things like Soul Wars come with loads of new miniatures in. It's a reason why kind of these tooth and claw boxes. It's a reason why things like Speed Freaks exists, is because they want to be able to sell vast amounts of stuff. It's a reason why Shadow War Armageddon came with terrain. It's a reason why Kill Team came with terrain. It's a way of mass producing, getting their money out of the molds, and really pushing them out to a mass market. That's why they do sort of those kind of box sets. Smaller companies, board game companies, that kind of stuff. They need to get to they need to get to some size before they can start the fun stuff. So companies like Fantasy Flight are a big company. They're owned by Asmodee. They're a big company. They've got big licenses and they're not really taking too much of a risk. But you get smaller companies who really do need to kind of they need to get that money up front really and fund it through Kickstarter. I think the problem is you also get companies when they start, they 90% created the game, but Kickstarter gives a community who then want to change that game. They want to shape it. They want their ideas incorporated in it, and that can make it really hard for the companies. So that's my ramble for a bit. Anyway, let's have a look in the chat and see what you think, because I'll come on to stuff like retail and should companies keep using Kickstarter again and again. We'll come on to that in a second. So. Jack is saying, if anyone has the Salute Mini from this year, be perfect to paint and mark the 100 years. Good example, mate, it would be. Kablams is saying Kickstarter is a jumped up pre-order system. I don't disagree with that these days. However, it's still not no risk for companies. They still have to put a lot of money and time and effort in to get to a point where their Kickstarter is ready to launch. And I do understand it. A lot of the games we get these days probably wouldn't exist if people didn't kickstart them, because it reduces some of the upfront costs that they're 90% sort of 99% sure they're going to fund, and will be released. But without those kind of boosts, a lot of these games wouldn't happen. Oh, I've just seen we've got Paul Welch in. Good evening, Paul. He's also very kindly donated as well. He says, Harry Potter was meant to be a Kickstarter, went to pre-order. So disappointed with the quality, I'm thinking of returning it, which I can, as it's not a Kickstarter. Now, that's interesting, mate. So, I might be talking complete rubbish here, but what I'd heard, the rumours was that there were some issues with Warner Brothers and the licensing. They didn't want the Harry Potter license to be part of the Kickstarter, and I think Night Models maybe either didn't explain that or there was some confusion, and I think that's why it was pulled at the last minute. But they still had to fund it. They didn't have the money up front, which is why it went to pre-order at that point. So there was some weird stuff going on there about they pulled a load of countries that they wouldn't ship to. It's disappointing that you're not happy with the quality of the miniatures made, because they looked fantastic in the launch, like in the pre-order. They looked really, really good, and it's a shame, because I mean, sort of somebody of your caliber, mate, the painting that you can do, you would really kind of show them off to a great level, and it's a shame that you're not happy with the quality. But thank you very much for your donation, mate. Really, really appreciate that. I'll also mention as well. So while I was at work today, I printed off all the Winter's War stuff. So anybody that wants to take part in a Walking Dead tournament, it's at Element Games. I forget the date. It's December. Paul will remind me in the chat. But it's early December. It's a one-day kind of narrative type tournament with the Walking Dead. There's some sort of special tweaked rules. It's going to be fantastic. I'll be there, and I'm sure there's a few others from the chat are going to be there as well too. Check it out. It's at waitofire.com/TWD. You can buy tickets there as well, and it'll tell you all about the rules. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, mate. I need to get that's something else I need to get painted ready as well. I've still got some painting to do for that. Glenn is saying never backed it at the time, but an infamous Kickstarter was the Dust one. They really damaged the game's brand since it was handled badly. I think a poor Kickstarter can kill a game. It can absolutely ruin it. What I would say is that the Dust one, did Dust used to be owned by like Fantasy Flight or somebody like that? There was a company, I forget who it was. There was a company owned the Dust Tactics and Dust Warfare, and then they either sold it or they lost it or something like that. and I think the second company then kickstarted it. I think I'm remembering that right. Neil is saying, with great power comes great responsibility to the consumer. It certainly does, mate. It certainly does. We've got Henry Mendes in, says, good day, everybody. Good evening, Henry. Hope you're well, my friend. We've got Flying Mammal in as well. Says, pre-order that. Hello, by the way. I don't think that's the first comment you've made, so good evening, Flying Mammal. Hope the squirrel's okay. Says, pre-order that takes so long, you forget you order things. That is the problem. I mean, it's kind of, you get a lot for your money by pre-ordering through a Kickstarter type campaign or a Kickstarter program, but you do have to wait. I guess that's just part and parcel of it, unfortunately. But when it does deliver, as Nick will tell you when he's just got his Kings of War stuff today, it's kind of nice just to come in and get that parcel and get all that stuff. It almost feels free by that point. Jack is saying, I had some good and bad experiences. The bad was waiting over a year to get a Games and Gears 6x4 modular board, and by the time it arrived, gaming mats were the norm. Yeah, there's always a kind of a bit of that, isn't there? It's a what's the kind of latest hotness now might not be the latest hotness in kind of 18 months when you receive it. Phil is saying the Artist Opus Kickstarter looks good. Is this the one for the brushes, mate? Is it? Because that one's already kind of has already came out, hasn't it? That's already there now. Those brushes do look pretty good. I've heard mixed reviews. I've not actually seen them with my own eyes. I've heard that there was a couple of like a little plastic stand that people weren't too happy about when I've read reviews. I've also read that they're really, really good. And I think they've been basically designed by Angel Heraldez. He's basically said exactly what he wanted from a brush, and he is. I'm sure I'm right in saying, I'm sure it was Jay told me this, he's not getting any kind of payment from this. He just wanted the perfect brush design and kind of thing. So I thought that was quite interesting. Shaggy is saying there's stories like Hero Quest 25th edition, which funded but had IP issues. It was funded and 4 years in have seen videos it may be out soon. I think the problem with that, mate, is that they didn't own the license to do it, did they? I think they just went ahead and tried to launch this game based upon kind of sort of somebody else's IP. Just getting down again to Paul as well. Thank you very much for the donation, Paul. Really is much appreciated. Matt says, Phil Wilkinson, the Artist Opus brushes are great. They are my new go-to brush after using Broken Toad for a couple of years. That's interesting, mate. I mean, it's certainly from the likes of yourself and Paul, it's good to hear what kind of brushes you guys use, because obviously you're on a different level. If you can use them, I'm sure they'll be useful for us too. Jack saying the other side is Kickstarter floods you with minis, but there's not a community after it. I got the Others by Simon, had loads of stuff for it and still not played it yet. Simon is an interesting one. So for those that don't know Simon or Cool Mini or not, and they basically kickstart like every other week. They've got something going. I mean, they've kickstarted all of their zombie side stuff. They'll be in the middle of kickstarting one thing while they're getting ready to launch the next one, and something else is delivering. It's just a constant stream. I don't know enough about the company, but my impression of them is that by the amount of stuff they release, I would like to think they're getting kind of big enough now to be almost self-funding. Like things like Zombicide is always going to fund. They don't need a Kickstarter for that. Like, you know, there's no risk in kind of in funding the molds for a Zombicide game. So that kind of surprises me. But I could be completely wrong. They could be a relatively small company as well. I don't know much about them. Where are we? Flying Mammal saying, don't forget Rain comments at the start of the chat. Thank you very much, Ruth. Let's nip back and get where he said. So Rain was saying that about Kickstarter, I think it's a bit of both. It's a blessing and a curse. Projects that otherwise wouldn't get published can now get funding, and we've gotten some amazing games through it. That is true. We have got some games we would never have normally gotten if it hadn't been for Kickstarter. He also goes on to say, on the other hand, there's lots of shit as well. Now anyone can try and get any kind of garbage published, and thus we have almost overload of product coming all the time. Now that's quite interesting because I kind of half agree and half disagree with that. I think there was a point in time where pretty much anything got funded. As long as there was enough hype around it, anything would fund. These days, I think people are a bit more kind of savvy, and they're a bit more kind of they're a bit more choosy about what they fund now. So there's been some quite sort of high profile games that never reached their funding targets or didn't do quite so well. So I think people are a bit more savvy now, I would say. Tim said, almost jumped on the Harry Potter Kickstarter, but price and attitude of the company making it put me off. There was a lot of people a little bit wary with it being night models. I think they'd had some bad experiences around the Marvel game and stuff. I've never been into any of the night models games, so I can't comment about the company personally, but I know there was a bit of noise about it. And I remember that they almost released their trailer for it, said it was coming to Kickstarter, and then within a couple of days it was like, no, not Kickstarter now. Flying Mammal says, do not get me started on the Harry Potter quality for the price. They were quite expensive, I seem to remember, weren't they? But it's a shame, really, because that kind of the quality they showed, if that's not what you've got, then that's really disappointing. Peter saying, I think Kickstarter's a good system, and when run well, it's the best thing. However, when it goes bad, it's shocking. Yeah, that really is the problem. When it does go bad, it goes bad big style, and people get left massively out of pocket. So a couple of the guys there were chatting about the Evil Dead Kickstarter. Essentially, what basically happened is the company that basically got funded for it, and it funded quite well from what I remember, they've not fulfilled it. I think the company's had a few financial difficulties there. They've had a lot of their assets seized, and basically those assets will be sold off to pay the bills that the company hasn't paid, and that means that the people that have paid for that product will never get their hands on it. Now, the guys were just saying earlier on that there's a company come in and they've bought the license, and they're going to fulfill the Kickstarter pledges as a goodwill gesture, which is really nice to see from companies. However, that's a big risk as well, like on their behalf. So when it does go wrong, it goes badly wrong. However, if you do your research and you look in to see what other things these companies have funded, so Mantic is an example, or a company that have done a lot of Kickstarters and have had no issues kind of with delivering on those things. Companies like Simon have done this hundreds of times now and are really, really slick at it. Companies like Monolith, companies like Mythic Games, they know what they're doing. If it's a new company, just be a little bit more wary. Do a bit of digging. Try and find out a bit more about the background. Have they been a company that's had some dodgy things in the past and they changed their name to try and kind of get away from that bad reputation? It's really worth doing some investigation. Paul has just reminded me, it is December the 2nd is the Walking Dead Winter's End tournament. Sorry, Paul, I forgot the name there. Yeah, December the 2nd. So if anybody's available, December the 2nd, Element Games in Stockport near Manchester. There's a fantastic one-day Walking Dead tournament. We've got DJ Todd Harrison. Good evening, Todd. Hope you're well, buddy. He says, hey guys, I invested in a couple of Kickstarters and right now I'm not very satisfied. Oh, I'm just looking to see if you've told me which ones they are. Chronicle X Nemesis. That's not good, mate. He says the ones he's invested in keep having various delays which push back delivery dates. I think delays are inevitable. I mean, the job that I work in full time, I work in new product development and project management, and sometimes delays are inevitable. However, as long as the company communicates them and keeps people up to date, I think most people will be a little bit kind of like flexible with that. The problem comes is when they're delayed by a year and 18 months on top of what you've already waited. So there's been quite a few high profile ones that have been massively delayed. I think, as an example, I think Steamforge recently have had massive delays with the expansions for Dark Souls, and I think there's a lot of people a little bit annoyed about that one. I don't know the full details, so I don't really want to go into it, but I do know there's been people waiting for those. Jack is saying, my last Kickstarter I backed and waiting for in December is Escape the Dark Castle, which has a great gameplay for adventure card game, a mixture of fight and fantasy, and some fantastic artwork. I've heard nothing but good things about that game, Jack. I actually saw it in my local Travelling Man a couple of weekends ago, and I was dead tempted to pick it up. Ross from EH Gaming was telling me about it at UK Games Expo, and I meant to pick it up then when I was with Sam, and I completely forgot to go back. I got sort of sidetracked with a million other things. So, yeah, it's something I definitely need to pick up at some point, mate, but I'm glad you got a good experience with that one. We've got Robbie G in. I'm not sure if I actually mentioned, if you've chatted before yet. Sorry, I'll rephrase that. Yes, you did. You were in earlier on, weren't you, mate? I was just going to say hello there. He says, Simon put out some fantastic minis and packed the Kickstarter with them, but there's a lack of great game mechanics lets them down. I've kickstarted Hate purely for the minis. One thing I think annoys a few people about CMON stuff is there's a lot of Kickstarter exclusive stuff, so you can never get those bits and pieces if you don't back the Kickstarter. So it forces people into backing the Kickstarter, and then when it comes to retail, that's a real negative because the people that didn't back at a Kickstarter can never get that full experience. I've got no problems with people getting lots of stuff at Kickstarter, but I'm not that keen on Kickstarter exclusives. That's something I'm not overly kind of I don't think is a great idea. Let's see where we are now. It's been loads of chat. Anthony, I want to take one of my games to Kickstarter next year. Fingers crossed. Let me know if you do, buddy. If you're getting ready to do it, let me know. We'll get a bit of a push on here as well. Paul says Harry Potter minis were a mess. Oh, excuse me. Bad casts and broken ones galore. That's a real shame, that, mate, because they did look really good. I must admit, I've seen some models. So the guys over at TNG had painted some of their models, and they looked pretty good. But I've also seen some other people's models online, and they looked like bad casts. It made them look like a bad paint job, and it wasn't their paint job. It was some really kind of dodgy skin textures and stuff like that, face textures. That's a shame, that. Jack saying to Robbie G, yeah, one of the main reasons I backed the CMON was the minis. I think a lot of people do that. You do get a lot of minis in their games. Phil saying, yes, it was the brush ones. Phil saying, thanks to Matt. At the moment, he's loving Winsor & Newton brushes. I use Winsor & Newton, but I've never tried Broken Toad or the new Artist Opus ones either, so I'd be interested in trying them. Glenn saying, as already mentioned, Kickstarter can leave a game without any player base after the game is delivered. Probably a good point to come on to retail. So, what's interesting is friendly local gaming stores tend not to like games that have been kickstarted because their main audience has already bought it. And I get that. If they can't sell it in their store, or they're selling it and their main player base have already bought the game, there's nothing for them to sell. However, the flip side to that is, when a game is kickstarted, it seems to generate a lot of interest around it, and it seems to generate a lot of a bit of noise and a little bit of kind of buzz around it. So Kings of War Vanguard is a really good sort of example, is that it's kind of, there's a bit of buzz around it at the minute. People are wanting to get in and play it. People are starting to get their pledges now. They're starting to have a load of photographs. This game's taking off. So there's a lot kind of, there's a good reason for all of the marketing and all of the buzz that comes around Kickstarter. If a company just launches a game without any Kickstarter, retailers are sometimes hesitant to take that game because there's been no buzz about it, nobody knows about it, and what is it? Is anybody going to play it? So they won't stock it until kind of the company does a bit of marketing and a bit of shouting about it. So it's kind of a two-way street. It's really hard to get retailers to list stuff that are not like GW, big sort of Fantasy Flight stuff. It's hard for companies like Mantic and companies like sort of even Gangs of Rome, things like that. Unless there's a buzz around it, it's retailers don't necessarily want to list it. So it's a blessing and a curse, I think, in that respect. Paul's just saying the media PR a Kickstarter brings is worth its weight in gold. The audience can be huge. That builds exactly on what I was just saying about there, mate. If a game is done well and it's kickstarted well, it can bring a real buzz about it that draws people in who didn't back the Kickstarter originally. If a game goes straight to launch and people are a little bit wary about it, kind of thing, it's a risk at both ways, to be fair. The difference being there's less risk if you go to Kickstarter, because then at least the game is funded, people have it. Walking Dead is a prime example. There was a load of buzz around Walking Dead when it first came out at Kickstarter. It funded really well. Everybody got their stuff, but it's taken a little bit of time for it to kind of build up that momentum. It sells really well at retail now because it's been out long. It's been long enough away from the Kickstarter to bring new people into it. Tournaments like Paul are running, that they're starting to pick up momentum now as well. So if the game is good and the minis are good and you can build a community around it, it's got some legs, it's got some length. Skullmunch is saying Kickstarter is great for companies, however I try and stay away from them now, as by the time they arrive I've already scratched the itch I had when ordering. Song of Ice and Fire is still on the shelf. That's sometimes the problem as well. You get so much stuff when you do buy them, it's almost like like shit, what do I do with all this stuff now? It is a fine balance. Thomas is saying he went in biggish on Vanguard, and while I'm looking forward to the models for the hobby side, the Night Stalkers and the Giant especially, I'm now worried there won't be a community around me to play with. Whereabouts are you, Thomas? It'd be good to know where you are. I think certainly there's enough people starting to get Vanguard. The retail launch looks really good as well for Vanguard. I would like to think that we can kind of build some communities dotted about and get that game going. There's a few tournaments have already kind of been set up as well for early next year. So hopefully it's a great game. I really hope it does kind of pick up momentum and gets a wider community playing it as well. Thomas is also saying perhaps it'll take off, but not much Mantic around me at the minute that I know of. That's one of the downsides, really, is that it's always GW is so dominating, isn't it? And it's a real kind of shame. The chat is moving fast tonight. I can't keep up with it. There we go. We got Anabolic is in as well. Good evening, buddy. Hope you're well. This is not just risk aversion that make companies like Simon continue use Kickstarter. It's the huge market and exposure and hype for only 10% of their profits. Yeah, you're not wrong there, mate. Because everybody covers them, don't they? It's the latest big hotness and stuff. Todd is saying the last Kickstarter I funded was the Z War 1 new expansion. Won't be funding anymore after this. It's too risky. I've been really fortunate with the stuff I've backed, I'll be honest. But I tend to back stuff from big companies, from people like Mantic, from people like Monolith, that kind of stuff. Matt is saying, unfortunately, Night models are notorious for terrible quality control and customer communication. I love the Batman models, but it's a lottery every time I buy one. I didn't realise that, mate. I've bought a couple in the past just to paint, and they've been all right. I guess I maybe just hit lucky on those ones. Tim says, I backed Batman City Chronicles, Zombicide Invader, Hellboy. Don't think I've got time or cash for anything else next year. I'm in a kind of similar boat, so kind of what have I got coming? I've got Resident Evil 2 coming, sort of back end of this year. I've got Hellboy coming early part of next year, maybe March, April time, something like that, May. I've got Batman City Chronicles coming as well. Is that it? Yeah, that's what I've got coming. I did back Joan of Arc, but then I ended up pulling out of that at the last minute because I thought it's just another game I probably will never get round to playing. If it's something I want to pick up at retail, I will do. Jack is saying to Thomas, if you have 2 warbands, try get a gaming buddy involved. Any clubs near you that may help. Yeah, whereabouts are you, Thomas? We got Sir Real in, says, holy crap, I caught a live stream. Good evening, Sir Real. Yes, it's real, it's live. I've just said your name out. Nice for joining us, mate. Thank you very much for coming in. Andy is saying, I've never done a Kickstarter. Wish I would when it got behind the Kings of War Vanguard set. Yeah, I wish I had as well, actually. I didn't back it at the time because I honestly just thought it was another game that I probably wouldn't get round to playing. And I kind of wish I did now for the amount of stuff that you got. What I would say is that what was it? My mind's just gone blank there. The only problem with Kickstarters is it's a big chunk of money you have to sink in. There's very few Kickstarters where you can kind of buy in for 30 quid. Because for £30, it's a lot of money, but it's a punt, isn't it? It's like it's a box of Marines from Games Workshop or something like that. A lot of these you have to go in like £100, £200, and that's when it gets kind of a bit scary, really. Handing over this money and then not seeing anything for like a year and a half. That's when it's a bit of a risk as well. Andy says, gotta go, man. Have a good stream. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Thomas is saying he's in Newcastle, so Warlord seems a big club, but I have to work most Thursdays until 8 p.m-ish when they meet. Thinking about trying to get my wife involved, but I think she'd prefer the low, heavier GW stuff. Well, Thomas, as I'm sure as you can guess from the accent, I'm in Newcastle as well. I used to go to Newcastle Warlords quite a lot as well, but unfortunately Thursdays are not great for me either. I'm sure between us, we can sort some games of Vanguard out so your stuff won't go to waste, buddy. So if you're not a member of the Facebook group, head over. We'll have a chat there. And there's a few people dotted about the Northeast. I'm trying to think of what else there is as well. there's at least 3 or 4 of us now, I think, around the Northeast, talking about Vanguard and Kings of War and that kind of stuff. We should get together and start playing some of these games, mate. I'm sure we can work a night out that works for us. We've got Adam Edgar in, says, good morning, Andy and fellow Blackjackers. Good evening from the UK to the morning in Australia. Hope you're well, buddy. Jack has said to Thomas C, it's difficult to get regular gaming nights due to work. This was a topic I suggest to talk about on the Facebook group. Yeah, I actually, what I want to do is, I want to talk about gaming groups, but I want to get somebody on the chat with me who runs a gaming group, or certainly has set up a gaming group, because it's not something I've never set a gaming group up, so maybe I will. Maybe I will set a gaming group up. We seem to be getting a few players together. We just got to pick the right night. And Jack's also saying, what's the state of gaming clubs and people playing from home more? Yeah, I think we might do that. Not next week, because it's Halloween next week. We'll probably do it the week after. We'll cover that topic, because I really like that topic. It's a good one. Thomas is saying... Thomas is saying, that'd be great. Go a bit off topic for a moment, that's okay. I can't use my Facebook much privately, as it's been really heavily linked to my work. It's a closed group, right? So only... Yeah, it is a closed group. So my Facebook group is a closed group. Only members can see what you post in there. And I specifically did it because a lot of my work people kind of saw the stuff that I was posting, stuff on all my miniatures and things. And there's something, I'm not ashamed about it, but I kind of want to keep some of the stuff I do private. So hopefully you've seen that now, Thomas. Anabolic says, off topic, I went to my local GW store for the first time in 15 years at the weekend and picked up 5 of the limited edition Space Marines. Sold all of them for double on eBay already. Thanks, GW. I can't believe GW stuff goes that. I'm assuming you must have sold them abroad or something like that, did you? Or is it just people getting caught up in the hype? Flying Mammal is saying Kickstarter can sometimes lead to fake hype. It certainly can. I'm trying to think of any particular examples, but there's certainly been games that really I think people get swept up in, they get all excited about, and it's like, oh, I need to be in, everyone's talking about it, and then when the dust settles, it's like, actually, I wish I'd never bothered, kind of thing. That definitely happens. Flying Mammal says, don't read this, Squirrel is now YouTube famous. Shaggy is saying, yeah, it's a closed group. Not sure if you can post, can't be seen by others. May have to check your settings. Yeah, it's definitely a closed group, so you have to apply to join the group. As soon as it comes through, I'll just approve it. And then anything you post in the group is only seen by people in the group. So any of your friends on Facebook, people from other groups, won't see what you post. So yeah, if it's linked with work and stuff, nobody will see that unless they're part of the group as well. Paul says, Walking Dead was a big Kickstarter, but Mantic made great decisions to hold a lot of back as retail exclusives. I parted with quite a few dollar bills. Yeah, you and me both, mate. They did that is one thing that I was really impressed with, and I think they've kind of got it right now. So what they did for Walking Dead, there was some stuff that you could only get if you went to retail and bought it. So no matter if you went all in with the Kickstarter, like I did, I got everything from the Kickstarter. There were still models I had to go out and buy at retail because they didn't come with the Kickstarter. They were retail exclusives, and I think that is I much prefer that than having Kickstarter exclusive stuff. Jack saying BlackJack man, oh yeah, I think we've covered that one now. Anabolic is saying Kickstarter campaigns often get their claws in me due to FOMO. Fear of missing out is massive, buddy. Says one way to counter this is do a $1 pledge, and then you can decide several months later in the pledge manager. That is a great idea, because I didn't realize that for quite a long time. So whenever you see Kickstarter, there's an option to pledge $1. And you might think, why would I want to give them some money for nothing? That's stupid. If you pledge $1 and the Kickstarter ends and it funds, you're locked in now. So the worst thing that happens is you go, I don't want this game now, I've lost $1. Not the end of the world. If, however, you decide you do want to kind of pledge big, then when the pledge manager comes around, when you get to choose the things you want, that's the point when you can go and spend your money. So pledging $1 on something you're on the fence about isn't a bad thing. That's a good, really good idea. I'm just reading Paul's comment there. I will get to that comment. We've got Jamie in as well. Good evening, Jamie. Hope you're well, buddy. says, Mantic have burned every retail bridge I know of, certainly in the Northeast retail scene. I think they certainly caught some issues when they were doing things like Dread Bowl back in the day, but I think they've addressed a lot of those issues now. And as I mentioned before, I don't know if you caught it, Jamie. It's that fine line between, if you don't go to Kickstarter, nobody knows about your product, because marketing is really expensive. It's not like you can take out kind of, you know, big sort of like TV advertising campaigns and stuff. Mantic are now obviously investing in a video guy as well, so they're trying to up their YouTube game as well. I can't comment on the kind of full portfolio, but certainly my experience of them since Walking Dead, I think it's changed a bit, mate. I mean, you're obviously closer to it with Asgard, but I think, to be honest, there's only really Asgard have stocked them, really. There isn't really any other Northeast gaming stores, to be fair. Todd says, I wish we had the same gaming support here in the States, especially in Ohio. So jealous of you guys across the pond. To be honest, I will catch up, Paul. I will catch up. What was I going to say? I think we have a lot of support because there's a lot of gaming companies in the UK. Right, I'm going to catch up, I promise. Paul is saying, by the time I get to his comment, all his Kickstarters will have launched. They certainly will, buddy. Thomas says, thanks to BlackJack, hopefully the Northeast Vanguard can become a thing. Let's make it a thing, mate. Let's make it a thing. And he says, thanks for confirming it's a closed group. Yeah, no worries at all. Where are we? What? Let's... Todd is saying, I hate fear of missing out, hence I've laid out a lot of money for Kickstarters I've funded. Chronicle X, Nemesis, Resident Evil 2, Zombicide Invader, Z-War expansion, not to mention Walking Dead. Todd, you've gone in big style, mate, haven't you? You've spent some cash there. We've got Idiot Proof Dalek in. Hello all. Good evening, Dan. I was just mentioning your dwarfs, mate, as one of the inspirations why I might switch over to a dwarf army from the Ogre one that I did plan for Kings of War. Todd said, hadn't thought about the whole $1 pledge thing. Tip, good advice. Yeah, it was something I didn't know anything about when I first started backing Kickstarter stuff. I often thought it was kind of, so these smaller ones, what Kickstarter was originally set up for, where it was just like, you know, I don't really want to go in big, but I'll give them $1 or I'll give them $5 just to kind of help them out, kind of thing, just to get them started, get them off the ground. I always thought it was for that. I didn't understand about the pledge manager and everything else, so it took me quite some time to get my head around that bit. Kieran is saying, regarding the Northeast Vanguard group, build it and they will come. We will. We definitely bloody will. So, well, there's two of us so far. We've got a group. Is it a group's more than two? We've got a duo at the minute. I'm sure there's more. There's another guy in our Facebook group from the Northeast who I think's just picked up some Vanguard stuff. I'm trying to remember who it is. I can picture his face, but I can't remember his name. I'm terrible with names. He's normally in the chat, to be fair, sometimes. Anyway, there's three of us. Three's a group. We've got a group. We'll go. Dan saying, go dwarfs. Ian is saying, sod the Northeast. What about gaming in Cumbria? We'll have to try and find a middle ground, mate. Or what? If you set up a Cumbria Vanguard set, we'll have a Northeast Vanguard set, and we'll come across and do battle. We'll take turns. Dan says, I'm going to try and build the Vanguard community. It's all that's going to be on the painting table for a while. Yeah, I think it certainly will be, mate, by the time all the bits and pieces come, isn't it? Michael says, I had a Kickstarter once. It was great till it didn't look like all the flashy as the rest. Still a good product, you know. I definitely do, mate. So for those that have seen my video, it was Michael's Kickstarter was the gaming tiles that you could use for doing like campaign tiles, campaign maps. But he sent some to me, and I used them to make made a Shadespire board out of them. So if you go back and watch my old stuff, you'll see Michael's stuff was on the Shadespire board. Where are we? Matt is saying, part of the problem is it's hard to please everyone. Even Mantic kept stuff for retail. Some of the Kickstarter community complained, feeling they should have got everything in the Kickstarter. You're right, Matt. This is what I've said before about how Kickstarter's really changed. It's gone from trying to help out sort of new struggling companies to now there's this entitlement of I want everything and I want it for half the price kind of thing. There's been a real switch over in it. Flying Mammal says, Sean, we're moving. Whereabouts are you two guys? I don't think I know whereabouts you're based. Let me know in the comment. You don't have to if you don't want everybody to know. Give me a rough area. Are you north or south? Kieran says, loud boom, godly voice. Then BlackJack doesn't say. and you shall be in my vanguard. Dust say sorry. That's it. Now we'll have a vanguard team in the northeast. We're gonna get it kicked off. We're gonna create the group, and then we're gonna travel around and we're gonna kick everybody's butts at the tournaments. Thomas is saying to Ian, I'm not far from Cumbria, so you get something going there. I could maybe go depending on where. They are. See, Thomas, don't leave my group. There's only 3 of us to start with, mate. Come back. Paul is saying to Ian, there's a good gaming scene in Barrow and Furness, my hometown. I didn't know you were from Barrow, Paul. I've got friends from Barrow. Used to work at the Kimberley Clark factory. Though I'm not sure you'd ever want to go there. Robbie is saying, I try now back 3D terrain stuff now mostly. Yeah, terrain's a good thing to back on Kickstarter because you do tend to get a lot for your money when that happens. Tim is saying, get on Burrows and Badgers, set in the northeast. Talking of which, new miniatures Kickstarters on October the 31st. We'll touch on that one, mate, next week on the Halloween one then. Jamie says, what happens when Mantic launch their next Kickstarter? It must be due. I'm being completely cynical, but do you not think they treat Kickstarter a bit like a pyramid scheme? I'll be honest, mate, I don't. Mantic are not a big company, and without Kickstarter, they don't have the cash to make molds for plastic stuff. They need to do that for those bigger games. However, their next launch, which is Here's Negan, the board game, hasn't gone to Kickstarter. So this will be a good measure of, it's got a good license in The Walking Dead. It's got a kind of a fan base of the people that back the Walking Dead miniatures game. So it'll be interesting to see how that one does. So that may give them some confidence to sort of borrow money or invest money in the future. But I think it's a double-edged sword, mate. I think we assume that a lot of these companies are much bigger than they are. They're normally kind of like 15 people in a company kind of thing. They're not the big kind of Goliaths that we think they are. Well, you see how many games they've got and you assume everybody is this massive company. It's just not the case, really. Flying Mammal saying Oxfordshire. It's not too far. I'm sure we could meet in the middle and have a Vanguard day. Hal says, good day, Andy. Hope all is well. No clue why my notifications aren't working for your vids. Right, we need to click it. We need to click the little bell icon, click it off, click it back on again, something like that. You can also, when I post a live stream on a Monday, you can click the reminder, and it will remind you when it starts. That only works for live streams. Matt is saying, I'm coming up for a game. There you go, Matt. You can be an honorary member of our Northeast scene as well. Dan saying the great thing is you can use your Vanguard scenery for Burrows and Badgers too. You can. Adam is saying the BlackJack Legacy Gaming Group. I don't need to put my name to it, mate, to get it to go. It sounds like we've got even just 2 or 3 players starting off, meeting up. Even if you come and play here, we could even have our gaming group here in the garage. Well, I've got a couple of tables, plenty of space. We could start our gaming group from my garage. Don't worry about that. And we can play whatever night suits. Ian says you'll have to sort something to Thomas. We'll kick those Northeast artists. No, don't be starting that, Ian. Don't be starting that. Dan says people also feel entitled to get their stuff before retail release too. Yeah, I think there is a bit of an entitlement. People think that they've funded. I think they think they've. What's the word I'm looking for? They have. I forget the term I'm looking for. Basically, but I think people think that they've kind of they've got an entitlement that they should get it before anybody else gets it, and I get that. However, once it's in the country, they need to start selling it. They need to get it out there. There's no reason why they can't get it out into retail as well. You're going to get your stuff like pretty much at launch anyway, if not before. You're going to get way more stuff as well. You know, like a week here and there is not the end of the world, is it? Thomas is saying not leaving the Northeast, but would happily dip my toe on the other side. Oh, it's like that, is it? You come here for the chat for the first time, you've already left me. You play where you can get games, buddy. That's how you do it. Jack says I'm expecting to dress up for the Halloween episode now. I don't think I'll be doing that, mate. I think I'm scary enough. I already look like a bit like a zombie. Don't worry about that. Ian is saying Barrow's too far. To Paul is pretty Lancashire. Tim is saying exactly to Dan. Picked up the new 3x3 mat. Made loads of fantasy scenery. Can use for Vanguard, Burrows and Badgers, Frostgrave, etc. That's the way to do it. Is to try and kind of play the games where you can interchange your bits and pieces. Todd is saying, I've pre-ordered Hayes Negan. My wallet is screaming enough. Speaking of Hayes Negan, we will be doing a Hayes Negan live play at some point on this channel. I'm not sure if we'll do it on a Monday night, but we'll certainly do it one night. We've got the Real Malevolous says, hi all. Thanks Andy again for coming on a counter charge. You are very welcome, bud. I think I can't remember. You'll have to apologize. I do apologise. I can't remember which of you it is from that name. I do know it's the same name that you've got on Twitter as well, but my head for names is awful. If anybody hasn't listened to it, head across. It's on iTunes. You can check it out on Facebook. You can also check it out on SoundCloud and sort of Podbean as well. Countercharge podcast. They cover a lot of Kings of War stuff, but they do kind of cover a bit more wide stuff in some of their hobby episodes as well. I was very honoured to be asked to have an interview on their channel a little while ago. So if you go and check out the Countercharge podcast, you'll be able to check out my interview that I did with them. Thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate you coming in and saying hi. Where are we now? It's kind of it's scrolling bloody fast again, isn't it? Dan is saying tournament games day. I'd come. Let's get it. So I was chatting with Jay from Top Table Gaming about maybe having like a kind of Blackjack Legacy gaming day at Elman Games sometime. So who knows? We might get a gaming day for everybody to come to. Flying Mammal says, does Kickstarter just attract the greedy people? I think Kickstarter attracts the people, the fear of missing out, and they really, really want the latest thing and wanting to be the first to have it. I think when people have put a lot of money in and then they've had to wait quite some time, it does kind of fuel people with an expectation, I think. I don't think greedy is the right word, but they do become a little bit entitled, I think. And I'm as guilty. When I've waited 18 months for something, you start thinking, oh, come on, when's it coming, when's it coming? We've got Paul M in as well. Good evening, Paul. Hope you're well, buddy. He says, I'm sitting here assembling my Vanguard Basilians as we speak. I get a Newcastle Warlords reasonably regularly, but I'm interested in doing other stuff as well. And he said, does anyone go to the Battle Bunker in Sunderland ever? He favours Games Workshop and Warlord, but imagine he could do Mantic if persuaded. I think he certainly would, mate. I think he's basically not bought any stuff because nobody plays it. It's one of those things, isn't it? We should definitely... I mean, even just from the chat tonight, there's at least kind of 3 or 4 of us. I'm sure we can get together and get a few Vanguard games, even if it's once a month. If we have one game a month, that's what we should definitely do. Thursday nights at Warlords has become a bit of a problem for me. I used to go now and again and play a bit of Age of Sigmar there. But now Thursdays, either I'm away with work or my wife's away with work, and Thursday nights it just don't really seem to work for me now. But that doesn't mean people couldn't come over to the Legacy Cave and we couldn't have games here. If I can't get the Warlords, it's normally because I'm at home with a little one. But it doesn't mean I can't play games at home. Kieran is saying, get you Northeast lads into a car and head across to Manchester for the Cry Havoc Vanguard event in January, hosted by Way to Fire. No previous experience necessary. We might do, mate, actually. We might well do. Let's anybody that's not in the Facebook group, head across to the Facebook group. Like I say, down in the comments of all of my videos, there's a link to the Facebook group. It's a private group. You'll have to apply to be in it, but that's just so I can weed out kind of people who apply, because I get a lot of people who think and it's Blackjack, the card game, so I have to kind of kick those ones out, and obviously I get a load of spam stuff as well, so that's the only reason there's a bit of a filter to get in there. But yeah, it's a private group, so anything you post in there is private. It won't be shared with your friends and family and everybody else who don't know about your geeky hobby. It is a private group, so yeah, head across and we'll have a chat about setting some games up. Jamie is saying, because they promise exclusivity and don't deliver. Hawk War Games is a fine example. They want their early cash, the product is often delayed, putting pressure on them to go to retail. And the retailers... You're obviously a lot closer to it, mate, from a retail side of things. I don't know that much about it, if I'm honest. I don't think they do. Do they really promise exclusivity? I'm not really sure. I don't know that much about it, mate. And I know nothing really about Hawk War Games, if I'm honest. Kieran says, just stick some paint on your minis. I hear someone has a challenge to help with that. Certainly bloody do, mate. Well reminded. So yeah, for those that haven't seen the Blackjack painting challenge, it's over on the Facebook page. Either come back and check the start of this video if you came in later. I did a big explanation at the start of this video about what it's about. And also there's some t-shirts, hoodies, merchandise, and any profits from that will go to charity, and the charity will be voted upon by the people that take part in the challenge as well. So it's a little bit of an opportunity to kind of to give back as well to a deserving charity. I've just seen there, it's Jeremy. Thank you, Jeremy. Thanks for clarifying that up, mate. It says, love your live stream. Thank you very much. I always have good fun. There's always a good crowd in here. And we always have a different topic every week. Sometimes it's a topic that lots of people are interested in. Sometimes it's a topic that maybe less people are interested in. But whoever's in the chat, we always have good fun. Matt is saying, if I see Kickstarter going to retail before I get it and start to feel upset, I just look at the mountain of models I already have sitting in the cupboard. Yeah, tell me about it, mate. Tell me about it. Dan saying the narrative workshops are particularly good. I'll have to look out for those ones, mate. Jeremy's saying I'm waiting patiently for my Kickstarter, or trying to be patient. Yes, the patience of a saint. Definitely needed, especially when you start to see other people getting theirs as well. You do get a little bit like, oh, where's mine? Where's mine? Where are we? Jamie's saying, then don't want to support it because the starter sets are all out to those interested, and the retailers are asked to buy expensive bundles to get the exclusives and the starter sets. Okay, I kind of see what you're getting at now. So, sorry, I'm just checking the stream because it's saying that. No, it looks like it's okay. I get it's a two-sided thing, isn't it? You want to create a community around a new game, and if it's gone to Kickstarter, then hopefully you get people who've bought those miniatures, come into your store, play that game, create a wider community. They buy the people that haven't bought in the Kickstarter buy the retail stuff. Then there's retail exclusives that the people that did get the Kickstarter, they buy the retail exclusives as well, and it grows from there. So I get that kind of I get why they want to do that. They're a business as well. They're trying to get the retailers to buy stuff. The retailers will only buy what their local player-based players. It's a really kind of, it's a hard sell with anybody except Games Workshop. And Games Workshop do exactly the same thing. They'll make you buy, if you want to get the play, like the organized play kits, you have to order so many kind of sets of things or stuff like that anyway. So yeah, I do know what you mean, mate. Nick saying, Bloggy back in after an hour's drive. I forgot about the Bloggy thing, mate. Yeah. Welcome back, buddy. Adam is saying, might have to sell up and move to the UK just for the gaming community. That's the whole point of this BlackJack stuff, really. Is it's about creating a community that you might not get access to sort of locally, so you can still sit and paint your miniatures and feel part of a community. I know the guys over at Countercharge, they do like a painting stream, or a kind of like a Google Hangouts type thing where they're all sitting painting. I think it's called After Dark, and that's about getting people together, making it quite social. So instead of sitting on your own, just sitting painting, chatting to other people who are doing the same, you know, sharing your ideas, just having a chat with other people. So Adam, you don't have to move to the UK, although you're more than welcome. But yeah, as long as you kind of feel part of a community, mate, that's half the battle, isn't it? Jack saying was a good episode. Was a good episode. BlackJack Legacy and Real Malevolous. Been listening to the Countercharge podcast for a while now. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it actually, Jeremy, but I've listened to Countercharge for years now, and I've never played Kings of War up until recently, giving it a try. But I've always been interested in the game, and I find Countercharge a really good kind of. I like the fact that you got various things to talk about, and you get different guests on. Keeps it really interesting. So anybody that's not checked it out, even if you don't play Kings of War, it's a podcast worth checking out. Skull Munch is saying Element Games is only 2.5 hours away. Would be good to get a BlackJack day there. Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours down for me as well, so it feels quite central. Jay is quite involved with Element Games as well, so he said he'd be happy to try and set something up. I think we might try and do something kind of early next year, maybe in the first quarter of the year or something, or maybe a little bit later when the weather gets a bit nicer for driving or something like that for you. But yeah, let's get something sorted, I think. Todd is saying I kind of look at Kickstarter as an investment, like the stock market. It can be a bit hit or miss. It's interesting. That was the word I was trying to look for. People think that they've kind of invested in a company when they're funding a game, and that's not the case really. But I think you almost have to think about it as there's a risk to it, like anything, isn't there? Unfortunately. John is saying my last Kickstarter was Tiny Epic Zombies. I don't think that's Tiny Epic Monsters as well as another game by them, isn't it? Sean Sales. So Andy, cheeky off-topic question. What level are you on Black Ops 4? It's the reason I haven't painted as much as I like to. I have just clicked over to level 8, I think it is. I've not played a great deal. I played a little bit yesterday. I am awful. I am absolutely awful at it. I kind of forgot just how long I've been out of those kind of Call of Duty games. I'm having good fun. I like the game, but I need a lot more practice, that's for sure. And especially it's been double XP weekend as well, so I've probably only leveled up to like level 7 or 8 because of the double XP. That showed how bad I am. Where are we at? Paul is saying, totally sympathise with those child minding responsibilities. Been there, done that. Bought a t-shirt. I've requested to join the BlackJack Facebook group. Looking forward to chatting with you all. Cheers, buddy. Obviously, I see them coming through on my phone there, but while I'm doing the live stream, I won't do it. But as soon as we're finished, I think I've got 3 or 4 people who've asked to join tonight, so I'll go and accept them as soon as we finish tonight. But yeah, it'd be good to get some local guys together. Like I say, I'm always happy to kind of host. If I can't get out, I'm happy to host the games here. And I'm sure we can maybe get down to Battle Bunker. I'm sure they'll let us play some games there. Or maybe if we get the odd Thursday, we can get down to Warlords as well. But yeah, let's definitely get some Vanguard games away. John saying Black Ops 4 definitely slowed down my production. Yeah, I'm a bit worried it might put a bit of a dent in mine as well, unfortunately, at the minute. I am enjoying it. Todd is saying to Adam, he agrees, time to pack the family up and move to the UK, not just for the gaming scene. To be honest, I think we'd all quite happily pack up and move and come and see you guys. Sure, the weather's a bit better. John says, super excited for Fireball Island. Not a miniatures game, but still fun. Is Fireball Island along the lines of Forbidden Island? Is it the same stuff as that? Tim is saying to John, being tempted to pick that up. Red Dead 2 is out this week. Yeah, I think I'll be picking that up as well, to be honest. Tim says, video games are a proper distraction from painting minis, playing tabletop. I only bought 2 Xbox games this year, a record low. I've not bought many games actually in a while. I've picked up Spider-Man and I picked up Black Ops 4 this year so far. It's quite nice to have a different, because I spend so much time with my hobby around sort of researching content, creating content, painting miniatures, playing games to keep this channel going. It's actually quite nice to have a little bit of a break from it and play a little bit computer games just as a bit of a kind of sideline thing. I did a stream on Twitch a little while ago where I streamed one of my games as well, just to see what that was like. But yeah, I've got to be careful it doesn't become too much of a distraction, that's for sure. Dan saying, very impressed with Element Games, only 1 hour 20 minutes from him. Yeah, it's a nice place, isn't it? They've got a good setup these days. It never used to be that good. Many years ago before Element owned it. But yeah, they've done a real good job. They spent a lot of money on it and getting a lot of terrain and getting all the boards and stuff nice to play on. Adam says, love being part of the BlackJack community. Definitely helped motivate me more with gaming and making it more enjoyable. Really glad you're finding that, mate. Paul says, totally endorse. Countercharge, great podcast. Also Element Games, fantastic venue. And Matt says, I'll bring a London contingent to Element for a games day. Sorry, Nick is saying Counter Element Games. That's what it is. BlackJack Legacy Con. Sorry, yeah. Jack says Matt Mountain. Where in London are you based? John's saying to Tim Kelly there. Can't wait for Red Dead. Call of Duty lets me play my online friends. Andy, just run with me. I'll help you level up. I bloody need some help, mate. Honestly, I really do need some help. Kieran saying Red Dead might have to go dark for a while from the hobby. You're not wrong there, mate. And James is saying always come down. Yeah, we can always go down to Asgard as well. We can play some Vanguard down there, and they've got plenty of tables. John saying no, Fireball Island is a game from the 80s. Renovation games, bringing it back. I will check it out, mate. It's not something I know about. Matt says not played a console since PS1. That's why your painting's amazing, Matt, because you've not been distracted. Mine is awful because I've been well distracted. Ant says, great show, mate. See you next time. Yeah, thanks very much, Ant. If you want to get in on the Vanguard stuff as well, mate, you're more than welcome to come and join us. I've got plenty of stuff that you don't need to buy anything, mate, if you want to just dip your toe in and give it a try. So let me know in the Facebook group. We might as well get a few more faces together as well. And Jeremy is saying, I loved Fireball Island. I'll have to find out more about it. So with that, we're wrapping it up. We're getting ready to wrap it up, guys. We're coming up to 10:30. It's been another good chat again tonight. We've had a good group in. We've chatted a bit about Kickstarter, love it or hate it. We've had a good chat about the painting challenge. For those that don't know about the painting challenge, remember to go back and watch the start of this video, or check it out in the Facebook group as well. Again, thank you very much to all my Patreons as well who've made this all possible. They didn't buy my games. The games I already had that I've selected over the years, but the camera stuff, all the setup, the ability to come in here and get this working from the garage, it's thanks to you guys. You've enabled this to happen. Couple of things in the chat there. Oh, we got Josie's just coming in saying, "Hey peeps, sorry I'm late. Really sorry, Josie. We're just wrapping up now to call it a night. But please come back and watch the live stream afterwards." Dan says, "I get to watch from the beginning now." You do, Dan. Thanks for coming in, mate. Jack is saying, Matt, he's not too far away. Neil is saying, "Night all." Jeremy's saying, "Keep up the awesome work, Andy." You too, Jeremy. Thank you very much, mate. John says, "Just posted a picture of the game on the Facebook page. I'll check it out now, mate." And Sean says, "Top bants, cheers, Andy." So, with that, we'll call it a night. Thanks, everyone, for the chat tonight. I'll see you in my next videos, and I'll see you next week in the Halloween special live stream. Thanks very much.